Most people don't know the danger of being too normal to everyone. You go to work. You smile at the right moments. You say the right things. You dress like everyone else. You talk like everyone else. And you want exactly what everyone else seems to want. Because of this, from the outside, you look completely fine. But here's the honest truth about being too normal to everyone. Something inside you is slowly going quiet. And the dangerous part? You don't even notice it happening. There is an actual psychological term for this. It is called normopathy. And I wish I knew about this earlier. A clinical concept first named by psychoanalyst Joyce McDougall, and later expanded by philosopher Christopher Bollas. Normo, meaning obsessively normal. Pathy, meaning a disease. That is why this is not just a personality trait. It is a psychological condition. Because of this obsession with fitting in, they erase their own thoughts. They erase their own feelings. They erase their own imagination. All of it quietly traded away for the comfort of blending in. This is the reason they blend in so perfectly. And that is why this is so dangerous. Because it does not look like suffering, it looks like success. Here is exactly why the danger of being too normal to everyone is so hard to spot. The normopathic person is not lying to you. They genuinely do not know what they feel anymore. Ask them, what do you actually want in life? And they will pause. Not because they are thinking, but because the question feels like a foreign language they forgot they once spoke. That is why they look around first. They check what others are saying, then they copy that answer. Because of this constant outward focus, their own voice has basically gone offline. They collect facts, they follow trends, they stay up to date on what is popular, what is acceptable, what is respectable, and they build their entire personality around that external information. This is the reason psychologists call it psychophobia, a literal terror of looking inward. Not because they are cowards, but because the inner world started to feel dangerous. I wish I knew earlier the danger of being too normal, because it almost always starts young. Maybe you grew up in an environment where being different was not safe, where expressing a strange idea got you laughed at, where having big emotions made the adults around you uncomfortable. Because of that environment, fitting in became the only strategy that kept things calm. So you learned, you adapted, you made yourself smaller so the room could stay peaceful. You got very, very good at reading the room, and very, very bad at reading yourself. It is a survival strategy, one that made complete sense when you were young, but one that has now outlived its usefulness. The inner world gets locked away, and after years of locking it, you forget where you put the key. You may not agree with this, but being too normal is one of the loneliest ways to live. Not the lonely where you have no one around you. The lonely where you have everyone around you, and still feel completely invisible. That empty feeling on a Sunday evening when everything is technically fine. When your life looks good on paper, but something just feels hollow. This is the reason so many successful people describe their life as going through the motions. Not because their life is bad, but because their life is not quite theirs. Normopathy is not stupidity. It is not weakness. It is actually a very sophisticated defense mechanism because of the pain that sometimes lives inside the inner world. Old grief, old shame, unfinished questions about who you really are. The mind makes a very logical decision. Easier to stay outside. Easier to keep busy. That is why people with normopathy are often extremely productive, extremely likable, and extremely disconnected from themselves at the same time. The busyness is not an accident, it is a design. Because of the speed, you never have to stop and feel the quiet. And the quiet is exactly where the real self lives. The good news? This is reversible. Not through more self-optimization, not through chasing more achievements. The way out is actually the most uncomfortable thing imaginable for a normopathic person. It is doing nothing, sitting with yourself, letting the quiet happen. Because of all the years spent running from it, even 5 minutes of honest stillness can feel terrifying. But that terror is actually a sign you are getting very close to something real. Therapy helps enormously here. What do you want? Not what you should want, not what looks good, What do you actually want? That single question, for a normopathic person, can crack something open that has been sealed for years. Journaling with no audience. Creating things just for yourself. Spending time in your own company without your phone as a buffer. Nobody is going to tell you that you have disappeared. The world will keep rewarding you for it, and the loneliness will keep growing quietly, just underneath all of it. But you noticing it right now, that is already something significant. That tiny feeling of, wait, and is this actually me? That is yourself knocking on the door, asking to be let back in. You were not born to be a perfect mirror of everyone around you. There is a path that looks smooth and gets you all the approval. And there is a path that is a little uneven, but leads somewhere that is actually yours. Most people stay on the smooth path because of how safe it feels. But safety and aliveness are not always the same thing. The most radical thing you can do, in a world that constantly asks you to fit in, is to stay genuinely curious about what is actually happening inside you. Most people will never do that. That is exactly why it changes everything. And that's all about the video. Hope you understand now, and remember, always be yourself. One more thing, are you the normopathy person? Let me know in the comments.